Hello once again, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Holly Shields here for Kalkine Media, and welcome to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. In this edition, we'll be narrowing in on Jeeves.Plus, the revolutionary multi-channel, multilingual platform that helps in streamlining customer service while reducing costs and digitizing a business's contact center. And joining us once again is none other than founder and CEO, David Hayes. Welcome back to the show, David. It's great to have you with us today.
Holly, thank you very much for the opportunity. I look forward to updating you on all of the progressive things that we've been doing with the platform.
Absolutely. It is a pleasure to have you on, David. Now, first of all, it seems as though Jeeves.Plus has had a stellar year so far and seen some impressive growth. Could you bring us up to speed on some of your major milestones since we last had you on the show?
Look, I think some of the key elements that are important to understand is that we are finally getting the message across that customer service through messaging is considerably more effective and cost efficient than the traditional voice customer service. So anybody who has customer service through the traditional 1-800 or voice style type services, they are starting to now migrate to messaging because they realize that an operator or a customer service agent can manage multiple conversations at any one time. That's the most important thing. And thus, it's much more cost effective for the company. So those things are starting to now progressively get through that steel door of everybody thinking that the only way you can manage customer service is through 1-800. But what we've discovered in the last 24 months, and certainly the last 10 months, is that we are a companion. We're not a competitor to 1-800 voice style services. We're a companion. So what we're finding now with our clients is that they're adopting the messaging platform, and that messaging platform is getting rid of some of those very easy to get rid of customer engagements. And what we're finding then is that when they do need to speak to an operator, they're speaking with an operator, and it's much more effective. So what we're finding is that companies are moving to messaging for customer service, and they're seeing messaging as a companion, not a competitor. So therefore, we've had a bit of a stellar year in breaking that mold, I think is the best way to describe it.
That's terrific to hear. It sounds like you've very much taken advantage of your places alongside those traditional methods of customer service, and you've obviously had a big year so far. So it is great to see, and particularly the advancements of the industry, as you just mentioned, it is impressive, I think, to see that people are finally really catching up with what needs to be done and the steps that need to be taken when it comes to offering a range of customer service options.
Well, I think the other element to it is the channels. So messaging, most people think of messaging as just straight SMS. We do SMS, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Telegram for all the crypto crazies out there. And of course, the most important is Google Business Messenger and web chat. Now, Google Business Messenger is important because customers can engage with the business directly from maps or from search. So when they do a Google search on their mobile phone and they come up with a little messaging tab, we can connect that messaging tab directly to their customer service. So it's a very quick way for the customer to engage with the company. Traditionally, web chat has been a fantastic companion for businesses. And I'm sure that there's a lot of businesses out there that are using web chat now. So we've taken it a little bit further by providing our web chat and our multilingual in one offering. So you can have a situation where you have clients that speak French, by example, and they're located in France, but they're doing business with an Australian e-commerce company. They can now text in French to the Australian company through web chat, or through any of the other channels, social media channels, etc. That'll come into our platform. It'll all automatically be translated to English and presented to the Australian customer service desk. They can then respond in English, and that response will go back and be retranslated and sent to their web chat in French. So we do that for 109 languages, but we're now providing our clients the ability to pick whatever channel they think is appropriate for their customer base. So it might be SMS, it might be Facebook Messenger, it might be WhatsApp. It doesn't matter. They all come into one customer service application. And so what we've found recently is with one particular customer, they had SMS, WhatsApp, and web chat. So what they were finding is that people were starting the chat on SMS, but then saying, oh, look, I need to get more details here. Can I do this more conveniently on web chat? Of course, and they move it over, but that entire thread of conversation is still in one offering with the customer service agent. So the customer service agent can see the entire conversation. But the key is providing the channel that works for the customer. So that is the big learning that we've had in certainly the last 12 months, is depending entirely on the demographic of the company and their customer base, they may prefer any of these channels or a combination of these channels or just one of those channels. And now that we've opened it up internationally, you can now have a situation where you can service customers based in another country, especially APAC. And we've got a customer at the moment that's based in Cambodia. Now they've got fantastic customer service through messaging in Cambodia, and the customer service agents are Australian. So it's working a treat.
I can imagine. I mean, that's really crucial, especially I think in the Australasia APAC region, where you've got a lot of different languages working there.
Yeah, that's working very well for us. But I think that also recently we've been trying to give back a bit. And we recently established a service called Couchsurfer for a big charity here in Sydney. And so what we're trying to do is provide the ability for Couchsurfers, regardless of their language, to be able to find a home for the night. And that's got very sticky, and we're providing the platform free of charge to the charity to help reduce homelessness. So it's called Couchsurfer. It's a bit of fun. Well, it's actually a very serious service, but it was fun putting it together for the charity.
Well, that's absolutely incredible. I think that you're able to accomplish that. That's must be a really rewarding experience to be able to give back to the community.
Look, I think the other thing too is we all talk about data. And what we're finding now is that the more conversations we have with the company, the more data we acquire on the conversations between the operator and the customer, or the customer service agent and the customer, the more we're starting to provide back to the company some very, very important data on the type of inquiries that are coming in. So because it's data, because messaging is data, it's easy to manipulate. And we're now progressively looking at the whole solution of predict and prevent. So the more data we have, the more we can analyze by which we can predict a response to a particular question and try to help the company build the appropriate responses so they don't have these issues in the future, or build or manipulate the company's offerings in such a manner that they reduce that sort of load on the customer service desk by simply analysing the data, analysing the questions that are being presented, how they're being presented. And, it's not AI. We don't like bots and things like that, but we do like the analysis element of it all. And I think the analysis is starting to rise to the very, very important level of why we do these services.
Absolutely. I think it's a really great application that you have there, and specifically that you're able to, I think, have a presence on so many different platforms. Because as we did touch on, I think different sectors do use different platforms, and the fact that you're able to, I think, give customers what they're looking for. Modern day customers are expecting, I think, more accurate conversations and more accurate translations.
Look, absolutely. Look, translation software is not perfect. But we did a round of testing with a very substantial cultural and language diverse community organization recently, where we did testing in 9 of the major languages: Mandarin, Cantonese, Hindi, Vietnamese, Malay, Arabic, etc. There are 9 major languages, and we did it across a variety of different, basically what ifs. So, registering a car, in moments of crisis, support services, insurance, health, medical inquiries and things like that. So we had a whole room full of testers who were texting in their particular language and having conversations with our operators across those sort of scenarios. And we came out with flying colors. And we basically, they said, look, if you want to engage with the cultural and language diverse communities, this is a platform that you should consider. Now, the interesting thing is that we did have, and being quite open with you, we did have issues with Hindi. Now, Hindi is one of those languages that's got numerous dialects. And what we did is we had the learnings that we can't really get it right all the time, but if we had a variety of backwards and forwards Q&A, we did finally arrive at a solution that works. But what we found out of that experience and that testing was we now provide cultural intelligence training for the customer service operators. So languages such as Arabic and Mandarin and Cantonese, they all have their cultural, how can I say, barriers. And so you've got to be very sensitive about that, and you've got to be respectful to their language. And so we provide this cultural intelligence training to allow the operators to phrase appropriately so not to offend. And that's been a really big learning curve, but it's an important one. And people, when they see that you're respecting them and they're respecting their language, they are much more responsive.
I don't doubt that, absolutely. I think the attachment of culture to language is something that we can't really downplay here. And I think respect in that context is particularly important in the business world.
Look, I think so too, and look, if you do a bit of mystery shopping out there, you'll find that a lot of Australian companies, they don't really deal with the multilingual community. They make an effort, but they don't really deal with it, well. We found in our mystery shopping across 50 of Australia's biggest companies, consumer-focused companies, such as insurance, health, and et cetera like that, only 5% of them had any multilingual capability. So it was sort of, a bit of a wake-up call to us to say, listen, these companies need help in dealing with a cultural and language diverse community. And, we're in conversation with a number of those companies, which is very encouraging.
That is very encouraging indeed. I think it'd be great to see that sort of develop a bit more in Australia, because as you said, despite the fact that we are multicultural, I think in population, the business world is not quite there yet when it comes to catering to those diverse clients.
No, not yet, but I must say that we're getting a lot of interest in the Europe area and especially APAC. So those areas, because they're so culturally and language diverse, they're absolutely a target for us. Australia has been a fantastic learning curve, though, and it's been a wonderful place to be able to develop and fine-tune the product and make our mistakes. And we've made a lot of mistakes, as any new business does. But we've learned from those mistakes, and we're in discussion now with a very, very substantial carrier, which I can't really name, but you'll get the gist of who they may be. They are the biggest carrier in Australia. They're now helping us position the platform with some of their key clients. So we're very encouraged by that and very excited by that prospect in the next 12 months.
That is certainly exciting stuff. I mean, it sounds like you're making major strides here.
Well, look, it's the old story. You've got to climb the mountain one step at a time. But if you get onto a ridge and you can take a breath and you can get a few wins along the way, that's always great. But It's a dull day, don't learn something new, and it's a very exciting journey for us at the moment. And I think the next 12 months, I hope to have another conversation with you and tell you some very exciting news. And so, we're hoping to basically fix the language problem in customer service.
Absolutely. I think that's a really incredible feat, and we definitely look forward to seeing everything that you have upcoming in the next 12 months and beyond. Sounds like you have a really big rest of the year ahead of you as well for Jeeves.Plus. So with that said, though, thanks very much for making time for us today and sharing all of those insights with us here on Executive Corner Expert Talks.
Holly, thank you for your time, and thank you to the organization. Take care.
Pleasure as always, David. Thanks very much. Viewers, if you've just joined us, that was David Hayes, the founder and CEO of Jeeves.Plus. They're doing some incredible work in this space, so do keep an eye out. And if you missed any part of that chat, you can catch the full interview on our YouTube channel at Kalkine Media. I'm Holly Shields for Kalkine TV.